Pocahontas II, Journey to a New World is a 1998 American direct-to-VHS video sequel to the 95 Pocahontas movie by Disney. Talk about an intro. The production took 2 years and occurred in the US, Japan, and Canada. So yeah, the Canada studio is actually involved in this one, but it was still primarily made by the Walt Disney Television Animation Studio. It also is the first Disney direct-to-video film to be in widescreen format. There's something there. But since it was a VHS, it's actually presented in a cropped full-screen format. So, just kidding. But the film was released in its original widescreen format for the 2000 DVD release, Gold Classic Edition. This is useless information. Listen, y'all, I rewatched the first movie before getting into this one to refresh on what happened, because I'm not a fan of the original Pocahontas movie, believe it or not. Like, the only thing I liked was like the Colors of the Wind song and the first time that she meets Jon Snow. I just think that's really greatly animated. And I know the historical inaccuracy is all over the place, and believe me, this movie doesn't make it any better, but it actually makes it worse. But more on that on the end.
I always wondered what happened to her character.
Let's click the focus on icon to find out.
Other than that, I think that's it for the backstory, so let us begin. Open shot, dark town, John Smith, looking at a map, raided by like the SWAT team. He's under arrest, ends up running away, some parkour on the top of roofs with angles. Everyone has perfect balance. No one falls off. These are trained professionals. J.K. John slips up. I take it back. Hanging on for dear life. Then the villain from the first movie, who didn't he get ambushed by his men in the last movie? Regardless, he's okay. And he just happens to also be on... Got my cat playing with my lights over here. Cat. As John is hanging on for dear life, he just happens to be on the roof also, and he just kind of lectures John for a second, you know, and then he steps on his hand, and John falls and dies. The guy goes to confess to the king and queen that he could have saved him, and they're like, we'll wait for the others. Roll opening, Pocahontas 2, Brave New World, Journey to a New World. Snow, we are back at Pocahontas Village. They're doing some chores, they're doing some work, maybe just a snowball fight. She misses John, don't we all? Raccoon teases the dog by eating his treats in front of him, kind of rude. They see Poco, I'm gonna call her Poco. They see, is that bad? They see Poco reminiscing, sad and shit. She sings, "Where do I go from here?" John is gone and dead, but I'll keep thinking about him. Song was okay. Comparing them to the other sequel ones we've done, that's a compliment. That's about it. Next song, or next scene, we see the pilgrims or something. They're building their little village in the New World. Pocahontas is there. Maybe John is on that boat pulling up. The first guy off the boat insults her.
Filthy barbarian.
Bird doesn't like that. Fucks his bag up. Animals scare the horse. She saves the guy who just insulted her from the horse that's charging at him. Insults him again.
Bloody savage.
Like, should have not saved him. Her village was spying. My cat's just doing laps around this place. You having a good day? That's good to hear. Sleep on the bag while you're at it. Her village was spying on everyone this whole time. They see what the guy did. They charged the village. A new handsome guy shows up. Who is this guy? Is he a new interest? Probably. Rip John, I guess. New handsome guy whose name is also John. So don't get us confused, all right? He overhears people talking about Pocahontas and how she'd never let this happen. And he's like, Pocahontas? I gotta meet this person. What? He pulls up to the tribe and is like, I want to give this horse as a gift to Pocahontas. And he sees her and he's like, oh, it's you. We're doing good so far, guys. They get in some arguments about some land, pretty typical stuff. She agrees to go to the New World to meet their king to negotiate. And New John doesn't like that, but ultimately agrees. Carmel. We're just posted right here now. Are you comfortable? You're showing your ass to the world, but that's what we gotta do. So let's see what happens. Quick conversation with Grandma Tree Willow.
I told you to listen with your heart.
She makes her listen. Also, there's this weird transition from the tree to this hole in this crate. Not sure what that implies, but let's continue. She's getting ready to board the boat. The raccoon and the dog try to smuggle themselves with her. We get a pretty emotional scene with her friend saying goodbye. It didn't make me cry, but maybe some. Most emotion I've gotten so far in the sequel VHS movies. We're A+ there. And she's off. What new journey awaits in the new world? But oof, looks like all the animals decided to smuggle themselves on board, immediately catch seasickness. Raccoons get waterboated or something. Goes to throw up. Dog's drunk, I think. Poco and John, they have a moment. Maybe something brewing there. I don't know. I missed the other John. Meow, 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 meow. They make it to London, which I looked up, and back then it would have been like a 6 to 8 day, probably like a 8-day trip, which oof, the village breaks into a song right after they arrive, which I wish all towns were like this. They just think about their daily activities in London town, not missing much here. They are a little surprised and taken aback from Poco because she's a foreigner. No one's ever seen her before. She's also just climbing their trees. So, I mean, that's understandable. Also, during this song, there's this other guy, his name escapes me. This other guy, he joined Poco, I guess, as like a bodyguard. He says 0 lines in the entire movie. Best character. He's just following her through the village, and the whole time he's just cutting wood, like the whole song, so he's pretty gangster for that. We run into the bad guy from the first movie. He's still looking for gold.
There is no gold.
Also, the village guy, bodyguard guy, refuses to ride in the carriage, so he just crosses his arms and he just runs behind the carriage the whole way to New John's house. We're gonna call this guy New John, all right? So New John goes, Carmel. New John goes to see the king to let him know that he brought back not the villagers' king, but a woman.
A woman?
He decides to invite her to the hunt ball, whatever that means. Scene later, Poco shows up in her underwear. John is shook and a little shy. Another song, the house lady sings while changing her clothes. That's about it. Almost kills the bird.
One more bow.
New John gets her a necklace, so she takes off her old one, and the bird doesn't like that. I'm assuming this was a gift from her tribe or family or something. The cat is just smacking the microphone with her tail. She's just making sure this is as difficult as it can be for me. The bad guy from the first movie pays off a street rat guy, presumably maybe trying to rig this so-called hunt ball. I guess we'll find out. Pocahontas comes out in a dress, which Disney is really trying to make her a Disney princess. But then they head out, tribe guy still following on foot. They make it to the hunt ball. Short guy here introduces them, then stops the tribe guy saying, "You need a jacket," and takes his, which is kind of badass. The king is not impressed. He goes, what do you think of my kingdom? And she's like, it's cute.
I think you must be a great king.
Then he just gets an immense amount of child energy, not much different than mine. He welcomes her, so all is well. Everyone infatuates over her, some dancing later. She sits next to the king. Then the show starts. There's like some magician guy over here doing a dance, but an evil one. It's a song, guys. Things are not what they appear. A bear just shows up. They torture it a little bit. She's not having it. Stops the show. Tells them they are
the barbarians.
What? Now everyone hates her and they try to seize her. Crazy how the shift just flips just like that 180. Arrests her ass and the guy with swag. New John contemplates about what to do. Then there's a mysterious hooded guy who just shows up. He just walks to New John. And then there's the next scene. They're on a boat, the both of them. Apparently now we're working together. Who could this mysterious hooded figure be? They try to open the prison gates. They ambush inside trying to break Poco out. They do, and she hugs New John. And this mysterious hooded guy takes off his hood. And oh my God, it's old John. He's alive. Why do we have two John interests? Carmel, why do we have two John interests? Cat, come on, Disney. She thought he was dead.
Greatly exaggerated.
But they bust out of jail. Old John locks the guards in. New John is fighting the guards on some stairs. The Johns basically tag team this prison escape. New John looks at the tribe guy and he's like, are you riding or are you running? Which I found funny. He still chooses to run though. The bridge breaks. He does some impressive maneuvering to get over it. Also, I paused on this shot to use the restroom and I came back and I admired it for a little bit, so. They end up escaping. Old John explains why he never wrote to her. I don't know what's happening with all that. Back to her, she sings a singy song. She sits in front of a tree that eerily looks like the grandma tree. She has a little moment. And then she comes back to John and she's going back to the human village that wants to kill her ass. She's crazy.
This is insane. Nuts. Tell her she's crazy.
You're crazy.
Heads back, they bust in the king's castle. He calls for the guards, but oh no, the no-speaking swag guy just walks in with the guards, all badass style, and then she just kind of talks to him about the war. Old John shows up and everyone's shook that he's still alive. He convinced everyone old villain guy was lying to the king and everyone the whole time. Then they go after him to stop him from going back to the new world. They raid the boat, fucking everybody up in there, Bird included. They unhook the anchor, and now the boat's out of control. The old villain disrespects the England flag. He gets into a sword fight tussle with Old John. He brings him down. He begs for mercy, but oh no, Gun sneaky sentence him to death. Conveniently, the bow of a ship just perfectly hooks him by the other John. And now he's dangling.
I so would have preferred to see you hang.
A little brutal. Bro gets tossed overboard, swims to the land, greeted by the king, gets arrested, no more lies. The next scene, she's talking to New John, I guess singing or something, a little tense. The old John shows up and he's like, yeah, energy, they gave me the ship back, babe. But she stares back at New John, kind of like, damn, I like him too. Overall, she decides not to stay with old John, goes back to the village looking for New John, can't find him, boards the boat back to her new home. New John was on the boat. Does she just not like old John anymore? What happened? The poor guy died. He basically came back and she basically just gave him like a Dear John letter. And then she just sails back to her village with the new John. Just fuck the old John, you know? Like, damn. I cue song, roll credits. And that's Pocahontas 2, Journey to a New World. This ending made no goddamn sense to me. After a little bit more research, you know, I don't really know the motivation behind why she left old John for new John. Canonically, if we're going to go into the lore and the history of apparently what happened, I don't know. This is apparently what happened. Pocahontas did travel to England in 1660, although at the time she was there and she got like baptized and shit, changed her name, get this, to Rebecca. Because like in the film, she appears to have stayed in England for like maybe like a week or two, but she actually in real life remained in England until she died. So the return voyage that she has with New John at the end was halted before the ship made it to open sea. Pocahontas was too ill for them to continue. And then she died. Also, for being historically accurate here, by the way, the bad guy from the first movie, his name's Ratcliffe. I don't like that name. He died in 1609, 7 years before Pocahontas even came to England. She did encounter John Smith during her stay, but was angry with him for betraying the kin relationship that her father had established with him. So maybe that's a reason why, I do not know. And one final thing, hear me out, guys. During that scene where she first makes it to London, there is a character who apparently looks like Shakespeare, but in real life, Shakespeare died 2 months before Pocahontas made it to the city. That's also inaccurate or some shit. And apparently the Hamlet play was made before Pocahontas showed up.
Who was voiced by one of the stars of Titanic, Billy Zane.
Playing a character in an animated film is extraordinary.
One final note, I think that's it. Thank you for suffering with me on this. I really didn't want to watch Pocahontas 2. This is one of those ones I'm just like, I just can't wait to get through this one. So it might be a shorter video. Who knows? When I return next week, we'll be covering the 6th direct to VHS sequel movie, Lion King 2. Thank God.